Welcome to our short video on how to create a business process web app with Menntor. We've chosen a process that could be used to manage the delivery of a service, such as a consulting or implementation project. A good way to describe a business process is to map it out in the form of a diagram. Identifying the trigger event, in this case the service being ordered, and the first step or activity set, followed by links to next steps. The outcomes from one step become the trigger events for the next steps in the process. Here the first step deals with scoping out the service, which may include resource and delivery plans amongst other things. And once ready, the client could be asked to agree them before delivery commences. Managing the delivery could involve the project lead checking off days or work packets as they are delivered. And once the service has been completed, the client could again be asked to sign off the service. There may be some cause for the client to dispute the delivery, of course. So it might be a good idea to accommodate a step in the process that allows for the client to sign off work as it is delivered. This could reduce the possibility of disputes when the service is complete and final sign-off requested. So we have an outline of our process, but that's all we have. Making a web app to help us manage this process involves exactly the same mapping technique to describe the structure of our app. And we use Menntor mapping to do this. Logging into mapping, we are presented with our canvas on which we can depict our process as a flow diagram. Selecting the new map option on the mapping wizard, the trigger event and first step are created, and we add labels just like we did when we drew the process. The wizard guides us through building the map and includes explanations and short demonstrations of how to do what is needed at each step. Copying what we see in the wizard demonstration, we add the next step to our process map and connect the steps together, adding appropriate labels as before. As you become familiar with the mapping tool, you can turn the wizard off. The map building menu will only show the options that are valid at each stage of the build. And within minutes we have our process mapped out. This forms the basis of what will become our new web app. Giving it a name and a description, we can classify our web app and also set a default for generating a case reference each time it is used. We save our map to the selected folder. As you can see, there's a striking resemblance between our drawn flow diagram and our Menntor map. We now want to add relevant content to the steps in our map to make it interactive. There's quite a range of possibilities. We will often need a form or a checklist in our business processes, and with Menntor you have a choice. You can attach a PDF form here if you like, or a Menntor web form. In this case we will use a web form, which we can now create using the Menntor form builder. Giving the form a name and labelling the first page or tab of the form, we save it to a selected folder. Now drag and drop the fields you want onto the Form tab, naming each field. You can set helper text and define the field as mandatory or optional. You can have as many pages or tabs on your form as you like. Here we have one for customer information, one for project information, one for delivered work packets, and one for contacts. You soon have a usable form. Including the Add Another button on one of the tabs means the tab contents are repeatable unlimited times. Other features include labels and conditional calculations on numeric or currency fields. In this case we have some calculations to track the days used and days remaining for the project. Saving the form regularly as you build it, you can also test the form as you go too. This lets you see how the form will function when you incorporate it into your web app. Once the form is ready, it can be added to the first step in the process map. When adding a form to a step, a mask is available to determine which fields are visible and which can be updated in this step. So we may protect fields that are automatically calculated, for example, and we will also make the sign-off radar choice only updatable by the client in the sign-off step. We can now add some instructions to the step. Incorporating shortcuts to do things like instigate the next step in the process when all actions in this step are completed. And you are soon at a stage where a test run will be useful. When you test your web app, it performs exactly as it will when you have completed and published it, adding information to the Customer tab and the Project tab, we can add a couple of entries to the schedule representing work packets delivered, testing the form functions correctly. And seeing the calculated fields. We can also check off the instructions and select the shortcut to the next step. We haven't set any defaults for the email dialog yet, so we can close the test and return to our map. Default dialog can be created for the email between each step in the process. And by looking at the field names on the form we created, we can copy selected fields and include them in our emails. Here we choose the customer's email field and the project lead's first name. The subsequent test now shows the effect of this addition to our web app. We just complete the relevant fields for what we are trying to test this time. Some customer details including email address, and some details about the project lead. Selecting to progress to the next step this time provides us with the default dialog and the correct email address and signature. Regular testing as you progress through the build stage of your web app will help ensure you arrive at a workable solution quickly and with confidence that it will do what you want it to do. Continue adding more relevant content to each step in the process, such as FAQs, templates for producing reports or correspondence, links to other information sources such as web pages or your intranet, documents such as policy or examples, and roles associated with the step. Your web app will be ready in no time. Once it is ready, publishing takes less than a minute, after which you can grant access to selected users who can then use it time and time again. You can create web apps in this way for all of your business processes, making sure people have everything they need when they need it to get the job done quickly, easily, and accurately.